What's up out there, everybody? Welcome to Movies Never Say Die. This is episode 9 of our top 100 movies from the 1990s series, and we have hit the final stretch. Today we're counting down entries 20 through 11, a lineup so stacked it could headline a film festival and sweep the Oscars in the same week. This is where unforgettable performances, masterful direction, and pop culture dominance collide. We're talking about the movies that just really rewired your brain, broke your heart, or made you walk out of the theater quoting every line. These are 10 movies that I think turned stars into icons and single moments into cinematic history. So dim the lights and get cozy. The top 20 is underway, and this batch is peak 90s power. Keanu Reeves, Sandra Bullock, and Dennis Hopper race against the clock in Speed, the pulse-pounding thriller where a city bus becomes a bomb on wheels and stopping isn't an option unless you're into explosions. Now, Speed is what happens when you combine a ticking time bomb, a moving city bus, and the face of 1994's most quietly intense action star Keanu Reeves, with a dead-eyed and delightfully over-the-top Dennis Hopper holding Los Angeles hostage via remote detonation transit terrorism. Speed was just the adrenaline shot that the 90s action genre needed. Sandra Bullock and her breakout role really is fantastic. She takes the wheel literally and figuratively, and the chemistry between her and Reeves just sparks perfectly for the needs of this movie. This wasn't just a popcorn blast, it was really a master class in escalation. I mean, every time you think the worst is over, they end up jumping the bus over a gap in the freeway or transition to an out-of-control speeding subway. The director, Jan de Bont, he really paces this like a rocket launch with no deceleration, and Mark Mancina's pounding score just still kicks ass to this day. Speed also redefined the idea of high-concept thrillers. What if Die Hard happened on a bus? The answer? $350 million plus worldwide, a spot in pop culture's permanent rotation, and a regrettable cruise ship sequel. But don't let Speed 2 Cruise Control muddy the legacy. The original gave us action done right, Keanu in his pre-Neo era, and Sandra Bullock becoming America's movie-going sweetheart, all before the bus ever slowed down. In 1995, Pierce Brosnan stepped into the tux as 007 in GoldenEye, a slick Bond reboot that pitted him against a former MI6 agent gone rogue, complete with exploding pens, tank chases, and a Nintendo game legacy cemented in history. After a 6-year hiatus and the end of the Cold War, Bond was at a crossroads. That was until GoldenEye would crash land into the mid-90s with Pierce Brosnan charming his way into the tux. This movie really had everything: a rogue 00 agent played by Sean Bean, a deadly satellite weapon, and a sexy and villainous Xenia Onatopp who literally crushed men with her thighs. Was this movie subtle? Absolutely not. But was it effective? 100%. Brosnan was fantastic. He balanced suaveness with grit, and director Martin Campbell was able to bring modern flair without ditching the Bond DNA. I mean, growing up in the 80s, I enjoyed and I appreciated the Moore and Dalton Bond movies, but GoldenEye, when it was released, was just next level for a 17 or 18-year-old me, and Brosnan was peak cool. He was like a Irish John Shaft with a martini and a bow tie, from the bungee jump opening to the tank chase through St. Petersburg. I mean, GoldenEye made the franchise feel cool again, and who could forget that iconic N64 video game adaptation, which arguably introduced Bond to an entire generation via headshots and remote mines? I mean, GoldenEye didn't just revive 007, it gave him a stylish upgrade. It gave us Judi Dench's debut as M. It set the tone for a sharper, more aware Bond era, and Brosnan's performance struck the right note between lethal and likable. It may not be the grittiest Bond, but it's definitely one of the slickest, and for many it was the gateway drug into the spy genre. In 1990, Arnold Schwarzenegger would take a wild trip to Mars and into his own fractured mind in Total Recall, a sci-fi mindbender filled with memory wipes, mutants, and more identity crisis than a season of Westworld. Arnold Schwarzenegger would take us on a Martian-themed mindbender in this ultra-violent, ultra-fun sci-fi fever dream from Paul Verhoeven. Total Recall really is what happens when you give Verhoeven a Schwarzenegger-sized budget, a story by Philip K. Dick, and you add an unhealthy obsession with identity, violence, and exploding heads. The result? A fun, sweaty, epic full of fake memories, mutant revolutionaries, and the most unforgettable three-breasted supporting character in movie history. By the way, I still say two is plenty. Arnold here plays Quaid. He's a construction worker. He has dreams of Mars and a secret identity possibly buried in his brain. And what follows is just a relentless series of chases and betrayals and shootouts and existential panic, all mixed with Verhoeven's signature blood-soaked satire and just future dystopia absurdity. I was like 13, maybe 14 when this movie came out. My grandma wouldn't let me go see it. She even went to our go-to video store and told the lady not to rent R-rated movies to me because of this film. And luckily, I had a friend whose dad loved these action movies. He bought a VHS copy, one that we would go on to watch relentlessly, of course, when everybody was asleep. And this movie still holds up. The film's special effects still look great with just gloriously grotesque practical work, stop-motion mutants, tracking devices, and skulls that need removal from the nose. I mean, Total Recall isn't just sci-fi action, it's unhinged sci-fi action. It's bold, it's loud, it's definitely weird, and it's still cooler than the other side of the pillow. Rest in peace, Stu Scott. John Travolta, Samuel L. Jackson, Uma Thurman, and Bruce Willis crisscross through a world of hitmen, diners, briefcases, and adrenaline shots in Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction from 1994, the non-linear crime classic that redefined cinematic cool. Now, by the time Pulp Fiction hit theaters, it kind of felt like someone had jammed a defibrillator into the chest of 90s cinema. With Tarantino at the helm, this wasn't just a movie. Pulp Fiction was a vibe all to its own. It was a mixtape of coolness, carnage, and conversations about foot massages and fast food. The film's structure, told out of order but somehow perfectly timed, just gave new life to non-linear storytelling. I mean, every scene feels iconic. Vincent and Mia's twist, Jules quoting Ezekiel before dropping bodies, the adrenaline shot, the gold watch, it's all burned into pop culture like a Royale with cheese. I remember sneaking into this movie after watching something else. I showed up in the middle. I was completely lost and left early, but a few years later and a little bit older, I was starting college and this movie would really be able to get my fresh set of eyes, and I instantly loved just the controlled insanity of it all. Travolta would get a career revival, Jackson delivered a career-defining monologue, and Uma Thurman became the poster child for postmodern cool with a killer soundtrack and a screenplay that practically sings. Pulp Fiction became the indie success story of the decade, walking away with the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival, changing the way movies looked, sounded, and talked. I mean, Pulp Fiction was more than influential. It was contagious, and whether you think it's brilliant or overrated or both, there's no denying its impact. Everybody wanted to make a movie like Pulp Fiction, only Quentin Tarantino actually did. Tom Cruise, Jack Nicholson, and Demi Moore battle military secrets and courtroom ethics in 1992's A Few Good Men, the legal drama where the truth isn't just inconvenient, it's shouted at you with full-blown intensity because sometimes the truth just can't be handled. Few courtroom scenes in cinema have the electricity of A Few Good Men's climactic "you can't handle the truth" moment, and it's a scene that has entered the pop culture stratosphere for very good reason. Directed by Rob Reiner and adapted from Aaron Sorkin's play, this legal drama delves into military justice with all the gravitas and drama you'd expect from 90s cinema, plus some top-tier acting to boot. Tom Cruise stars as the young, idealistic Navy lawyer tasked with defending two Marines accused of murder. Then you get Jack Nicholson's Colonel Jessup, who just embodies the iron-fisted military mentality to a T, bringing a simmering intensity to his performance that just explodes into one of the most quoted speeches in film history. Then you get Demi Moore. She adds a quiet but powerful performance, kind of caught between duty and conscience. While the plot occasionally does dip into melodrama, the razor-sharp dialogue and just powerhouse performances make this more than your typical courtroom drama. To me, this is like one of those old Hollywood, just old school movies that just kind of relied on acting and writing and direction. The film also taps into some bigger themes about authority and honor and moral ambiguity that still kind of resonate today. And A Few Good Men is the kind of movie that reminds you why dialogue can be as thrilling as a gunfight, especially when delivered with such fire and conviction. Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson hustle street courts and egos in 1992's White Men Can't Jump, a pure summer basketball comedy about trash talk, trust issues, and whether or not Jeopardy is a valid life goal. Me, White Men Can't Jump effortlessly combines basketball, sharp banter, and a surprisingly heartfelt look at friendship and hustling on and off the court. Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson just bounce off each other here with an undeniable chemistry. These dudes really are perfect together for this movie, trading trash talk and life lessons in equal measure. I've always loved this movie. I remember when I was in my teens, I went on a vacation to LA, and getting to play basketball on the same Venice Beach courts this movie was filmed on was certainly an item checked off my bucket list before I even knew what a bucket list was. Directed by Ron Shelton, this film uses street ball as a backdrop for exploring racial stereotypes and economic struggles and just the pursuit of respect in a world that often feels stacked against you. But the duo's hustle, though, it's not just about money. It's also about survival and kind of proving your worth in a game that's bigger than basketball. The movie's humor is sharp, it's very witty without being cruel, and the supporting cast is fantastic, headlined by a fiery Rosie Perez, who just adds depth and warmth and humor to the story as well. Plus all the basketball sequences, they still feel very dynamic and very realistic, capturing the rhythm of street ball perfectly. And to this day, the action in this movie is still some of the best used in a basketball flick. White Men Can't Jump isn't just a sports comedy, it's a snapshot of like early 90s culture wrapped in sneakers and slam dunks, and to me, it will remain a timeless comedic classic. '70s screen legend Pam Grier plays it cool and calculated in 1997's Jackie Brown, Tarantino's slick and soulful Elmore Leonard adaptation where flight attendants smuggle cash, middlemen double-cross, and everybody talks just a little too much. Now, to me, Jackie Brown is the smoothest, most laid-back Tarantino movie with less pulp and more soul. Pam Grier leads as the titular character, a smart and streetwise woman caught between the FBI and a ruthless arms dealer, played by a pleasantly volatile Samuel L. Jackson, with Robert Forster as a bail bondsman and Robert De Niro as a low-key gangster. The film blends crime thriller suspense with sharp dialogue and slow burn tension perfectly. Unlike Tarantino's more frenetic works, Jackie Brown is a movie that takes its time. It builds characters through subtlety and wit. The soundtrack is as cool as the characters, mixing 70s funk and soul to just perfectly match the film's vibe and just overall atmosphere. It's a movie that really rewards patience, in my opinion, with twists that don't really shout at you, but more so whisper, and a protagonist who's always one step ahead from start to finish. This personally has always been my favorite Tarantino movie. I think it also is one of his films that has the most amount of rewatch value to it, and it certainly feels the most grounded in all the best ways. Jackie Brown may not have the same bombast as Tarantino's other films, but it's got style, it's got heart, and the kind of cool confidence that only comes with experience. Here, Keanu Reeves infiltrates a crew of Zen surfer bank robbers led by Patrick Swayze in Point Break from 1991, an action cult classic where adrenaline is a religion and every wave could be your last, but it doesn't matter when you're just living in the moment. Point Break is just a high-octane mix of surf culture and heist thriller that somehow balances extreme sports and explosive shootouts with world-class bravado. Keanu Reeves plays Johnny Utah, an FBI agent who goes undercover in a band of charismatic bank robbers slash surfers, led by the legendary Bodie, played by Patrick Swayze, whose love of surfing and freedom naturally clashes with the law. Director Catherine Bigelow keeps the action taut and stylish, just delivering adrenaline-pumping sequences on land, sea, and in the air. The film is equal parts philosophical and pulse racing, exploring themes of loyalty and risk and the quest for transcendence through the most extreme means possible. I can still remember sitting in the theater and watching some movie and seeing this trailer come on before it, and the mood, the vibe, all of it just grabbed me immediately. So much so I ended up moving to the beach and picking up surfing because it just seemed less stressful than robbing banks. Now, Point Break is also packed with many quotable moments, including Bodie's famous line about living life to the fullest and Utah's moral wrestling with friendship and duty. I mean, Point Break quickly became a cult favorite, inspiring remakes and memes and countless viewers to pick up a surfboard. And what Bigelow would bring to the screen, I think, would end up being one of the best pure action movies the 1990s would have to offer. In 1995, Bruce Willis would return as John McClane in Die Hard with a Vengeance, this time teaming up with Samuel L. Jackson, with New York City turning into a playground for them to solve deadly puzzles left from a bomber who's way too into Simon Says. The Die Hard franchise would reach new heights and new puzzles with Die Hard with a Vengeance, turning Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson into reluctant partners who must race through New York City in a deadly citywide scavenger hunt, trying to stop a bomber who has a flair for sadistic riddles. This installment in the franchise would trade in the traditional singular location for a sprawling urban cityscape, and it was perfect for blending fast-paced action, witty banter, and the charming chemistry between Willis and Jackson. This movie just cranks up the scale immensely with car chases, much more action, bomb threats, and enough explosions to give everybody in the city a headache. So by adapting more of that Lethal Weapon formula, Die Hard 3 was able to turn into a massive hit off a script that was intended to be a Lethal Weapon movie. Now, personally, I've always loved this one, and outside of the obvious quality and the nostalgia of the first, I would say this is the most superior film in the franchise due to the level of difficulty and all the moving pieces it has. Director John McTiernan delivers an action thriller that's part buddy comedy, part high-stakes puzzles with memorable moments like the flooded viaduct, car chase early in the third act, and this awesome finale on the tanker that delivers plenty of gunplay and just action and a great fight sequence. Die Hard with a Vengeance wasn't just another sequel, it was Die Hard with kind of a fresh twist, delivering the kind of energy that I think enables the film to remain a timeless action classic that's fueled on great writing, practical action, and its great cast of characters. Tom Hanks here leads a war-torn rescue mission in Spielberg's Saving Private Ryan from 1998, the absolutely visceral World War II epic that opens with D-Day chaos and marches straight into cinematic history, one bullet and brother at a time. I think many would agree that Saving Private Ryan changed war movies forever with its gut-wrenching, immersive depiction of the D-Day invasion and its aftermath. I think it also set a new standard in the genre for realism and depiction of sacrifice. The movie opens with one of the most harrowing battle sequences ever put to film, dropping viewers right into the chaos, fear, and heartbreak of combat like never seen before cinematically. I can still remember sitting in the theater, seeing that opening sequence for the first time, like it was yesterday. Tom Hanks here, he's fantastic. He stars as Captain Miller. He's tasked with finding and bringing home Private James Ryan, the last surviving brother of 4 servicemen, and the film just, I don't know, smoothly and just effortlessly explores the moral complexity of sacrifice and duty, all against the backdrop of one of history's most deadliest conflicts. I think Spielberg's direction, Kaminsky's gritty cinematography, and the cast's just masterfully committed performances brought unprecedented just authenticity to the screen in this movie. This film's impact was absolutely immediate. It was everywhere, winning multiple Oscars and just becoming a cultural touchstone for how war is portrayed in film. It's really a roller coaster of unnerving tension and emotion and action, making Save It Private Ryan more than a movie. It's a visceral experience that kind of honors the courage and the cost of those who fought, and it remains a benchmark for war cinema. And that's it for today, guys. That wraps up entries 20 through 11, another 10 films that didn't just leave a mark on the 90s, they practically burned their names into pop culture, with directors at the top of their game, actors giving career best performances, and scenes that still live rent-free in your memory lockers. This list just really proved that the 90s weren't playing around when it came to movies. With that said, we've now arrived at the final 10, the best of the best, the movies that defined a generation and maybe even changed cinema itself. So hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, share your predictions, and get ready, because in the next episode, we're revealing the top 10 movies from the 1990s, and trust me, it's going to be an ending worth sticking around for. Thank you guys so much for watching as always. I hope you all have been enjoying this series. It's wrapping up in the next episode coming real soon. I hope to see you guys all back for that video, and until then, movies never say die.
This is Jack Burton in the Pork Chop Express, and I'm talking to whoever's listening out there.
Survive a war, you gotta become war.
I suppose we have to register you as a lethal weapon.
You trying to say Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball?